Hello everyone, I'm Katrin Knutzen from Ilmenau University of Technology in Germany, and today I'm excited to share our research on how space and nonverbal communication shape learning experiences in virtual environments. Picture this contrast. In physical classrooms, like the one you see on the left, students naturally gather close together. So they huddle, they communicate with subtle gestures, they maintain a strong sense of presence with each other. Yet in virtual spaces, shown on the right, we notice something different. Students keep much greater distances from each other, with far less nonverbal communication, even if technically possible. And this difference made us wonder, what happens to our social dynamics when we step into virtual learning spaces? And this observation revealed a research gap in our understanding. While previous work has studied in virtual learning extensively, few have looked at how movement in these spaces affects how students interact with each other. And we became particularly interested in whether students use virtual space itself as a form of nonverbal communication at all. So do they naturally gravitate toward each other as they would in real life? Or does virtual space just operate by different social rules? In order to explore this, we created an engaging virtual scavenger hunt where students explored an immersive space to discover key VR learning affordances. And in that virtual scavenger hunt, students had to find these 3D terms related to XR learning affordances and value propositions that they already knew from the seminar that they attended. Then they brought these to a designated room, here on the right, and then they categorized them and held a subsequent discussion with our lecturer about the connection between these value propositions and the affordances. And our goal was to leverage the immersive learning environment's unique spatial capability that is just hard to implement in other media formats with the same degree of immersion, so that our students could move freely, gesture naturally, and in general interact in ways that feel more authentic and immersive. And for that task, we designed a between-subject experiment as part of our ongoing university seminar. And our students participated in this virtual scavenger hunt under two different conditions. One required more movement throughout the space, and the second with less movement. And we tracked three key elements. First of all, the general sociability of the application, the feeling of the social presence, including all the nuanced variables from the SIPS model, and the distances between students throughout the activity. What you're seeing here now is footage from our experiment. Notice the slight darkening around the edges. This was intentionally added to reduce motion sickness during the session. And we equipped our participants with VR headsets and built our environment in Unity. And for this task, we chose to recreate our university's main entrance hall to provide a familiar setting that helped to ground the experience. And students could explore this space either by walking continuously with their controllers or by teleporting to cover larger distances. So the mechanics were quite intuitive. They had to find the terms related to VR learning, carry them to the designated room, categorize them correctly, and the system also provided immediate feedback with terms turning green or red based on the correct placement. Now for what we've discovered. Looking at these heat maps, you can clearly see the rather different movement patterns between our two groups, exactly as we designed them, so that's not really surprising. But what is interesting is that despite these different spatial routes, we found no difference in how socially connected the students felt with each other. So the varying distances didn't seem to affect the communication or collaboration quality. Instead, what became clear was that the engaging nature of the scavenger hunt itself created social bonds regardless of the physical proximity. So the students remained connected to their teammates whether they were huddled together or spread across the different floors. And this suggests that immersive learning spaces do operate with their own unique social rules that don't simply mirror our physical world expectations. So what does this mean for designing virtual learning experiences? First, the good news is that virtual scavenger hunts genuinely engage students and create meaningful learning opportunities. So this format works very well in immersive learning environments. However, our assumption that spatial proximity would drive social connection the same way it does in physical classrooms wasn't supported. So virtual presence seems to follow different patterns here. And looking ahead, we suggest that we need to design virtual environments that intentionally foster connections through mechanisms specifically suited to digital spaces, rather than simply trying to recreate physical world dynamics. And that is all from my side for today. I thank you for joining me on this exploration of virtual learning spaces, and I'm eager to hear your thoughts and answer any questions about our findings.